Hello and welcome everybody for joining us on the 6th episode of Learn with Simpl's webinar series, where we are focusing on D2C brands. And in today's session, we are talking about scaling the D2C supply chain. And joining us for this discussion is Rahul Vishwakarma of Crest and Nitya Sharma. Bhisham Bhateja of the Man Company will be joining us shortly. Looking forward to an exciting discussion. Nitya, over to you.
Thanks, Bushra. Rahul, welcome. Look forward to this conversation. And just a quick note to the attendees, we have one more panelist, Bhisham, who's a co-founder of Man Company. He's having some technical difficulties, so we expect that he will join us in the next 5 minutes or so. And when he does, we will bring him on. In the meantime, please meet Rahul, founder of Crest.ai, which is I'll let Rahul describe what they do, but they play a very important role in giving brands, D2C brands, superpowers so that they can manage their supply chain in the most efficient way using data, machine learning, and AI, such that brands can deliver consumer experiences like real-time delivery and on-time delivery. Rahul, welcome. It'll be great.
Thank you so much.
Just introduce yourself and how did you get to building Crest.ai?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Just a quick note, Bhisham is, I guess, waiting in the attendees, so someone with Mana getting in. But while it is going on, hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Nitya and Ty, for giving us the opportunity to be part of the panel. I'm Rahul, co-founder and CEO at Crest, where we help D2C brands in eliminating frequent stockouts by helping you get answers to 4 key questions: what to order, when to order, how much to stock, and where to put. How do we do that? We do that by a proprietary demand forecasting engine and a multi-echelon inventory optimization engine, which basically helps these brands identify how and where the inventory is needed and how should it be turning it around.
Awesome. And Rahul, how did you get into it, right? Why did you start Crest.ai?
Absolutely. So in my previous stint, I was working with and helping large organizations such as L'Oreal, Marico, Luminous, ITC, Sun Pharma, and many similar companies, having seen the role of supply chain at these companies and how, for example, to be able to deliver 97, 98% of serviceability gives them a kind of mode which is unbreachable, right? To be able to present in every nook and corner and growing consistently on year, and not able to find that during COVID in the SMB sector, and seeing a lot of these businesses losing money because of either sitting on excess inventory or going out of stock, basically gave us an inspiration on starting Crest and helping growing companies and help them grow faster. That's how we basically picked up starting.
Awesome. Fantastic. Bhisham, welcome.
Hi guys, I'm really sorry for this technical glitch. I was trying since 10:55 and finally I joined at 11:10.
Well, no problem. Just in time, just like the supply chain we're talking about, just in time, you came exactly at the right time. So sorry for the issue, Bhisham. Glad to have you. And I just before you joined, I was just talking about we'll be talking about supply chain and how D2C brands are using more and more automation technology to be as strong as large FMCG brands or even Amazon. And I think in today's panel we have Rahul, who is a founder of a company that enables D2C brands, and then of course Bhisham, you are a founder of the company itself. Solving these problems. It'll be great to just introduce yourself and the Man Company, just give us a quick story on how did you even start this company.
Okay, so we started Man Company in 2015. It's a men grooming brand, head-to-toe brand for men, and we started as a D2C way back in 2015. But now we are omni-channel. Like I am available across the retail channels, online, offline, you can think of in the country. So now we are not only a D2C brand, we are an omni-channel brand. And if we talk about from a supply chain point of view, D2C has a different requirement vis-a-vis offline retail. So yes, we deal with both the sides of the system.
Got it. And just so that we know, roughly what is D2C part of your GMV as a percentage of overall pie?
So when I say D2C, I will take marketplaces also in that model. Then so we have approximately 55% as our online split vis-a-vis 45% offline split.
Got it. And when you think about your own website, how much would that be?
So website would be our, say, out of my total turnover, or approximately 20%.
Got it. Sounds good. Awesome. Good. That's great context. So let's jump into some sort of like the real stuff, which is, we were just talking about the fact that D2C brands or D2C brands who are selling on omni-channel are typically set of teams that start small, right? It's typically a startup set of people. And most people are typically, very product focused, right? So they are building their product, like in your case, the stuff you're building for the customer, t-shirts, shoes, whatever it is. And things like supply chain and technology and checkout and logistics is not something that most people have skills in. And yet, you have competition like traditional FMCG companies and Amazon who are really good at that. And so how do you become very good? And that is building a lot of things yourself and then working with folks like Rahul and Crest.ai to integrate their APIs to solve some of the problems. So my first question is, and maybe Bhisham, you can start from a problem side point of view, right? One of the things is, if your supply chain is not sort of like tightly tuned to demand, right? Then two things happen, right? One is you have either too much inventory sitting all the time, impacting your working capital, or you're just not meeting your demand on time, right? And so, how do you forecast this demand and all these challenges? Just like walk us through the challenges you have, how you've solved it, and then we'll bring in Rahul to give a commentary on what he's seeing across the board.
See, as I said, we are all like, we are a new age brand, okay, and we are growing at an exponential pace. Vis-a-vis a traditional FMCG brand, which they grow at a very, very normal growth rate, or probably they are stagnant also in few cases, and they have lot of data with them from a point of seasonality. What happened last year, last to last year, same quarter, Diwali season, festival season. So planning, the planning is very robust because of the kind of experience they have. They have the data points, seasonality, etc., etc. In our case, we don't enjoy that because we are a growing brand. Last year, what happened with me in Diwali, this year is not going to happen again because it will be totally different. So as a new age brand, it's very, very difficult for us to forecast. Whatever we do a 2 months forecast across all our SKUs, still we fail to do it properly. At times we are sitting on, for few SKUs, I'm sitting on 45 to 60 days inventory, and for few SKUs, I'm sitting on 5 days inventory also. So that's a challenge because our growth is very, very exponential. And growth, and why it is exponential, it is because growth, A, we have to grow fast, B, our growth levers are which are not, suppose we start an ad on Amazon.com and we just launch a product and suddenly it has picked up, and from nowhere it has picked up and there is no answer to it, and we are in a firefighting mode right now as we speak. I am in firefighting mode, and I am in firefighting mode every month. Okay, so because of this digital ecosystem, our ads and our customer is everywhere, and these ads, whatever ads we are performing, one of it will click, and it happens every day, and which one will click we don't know. So that is the biggest problem we solve, and so far I don't have an answer for it. I've been doing this business for more than 8 years right now, and I'm still learning the ropes.
Yeah, awesome. Rahul, why don't you come in and just give us a sense of like what you are seeing, the challenges across the board.
Absolutely. No, I actually completely agree with Bhisham. With fast-growing brands, it is very difficult to be able to forecast. Why? Because it's not just, for example, the ad spend, which is, let's say, very event-driven, or let's say emotion driven. It's also opening newer channels, opening newer stores, getting into newer, for example, marketplaces as well, which kind of where availability of for historical data is also scarce, and which makes again difficult to forecast things as well. Now that is exactly where there's a different way of really planning things, right? Rather than seeing how a Marico does a planning or a Unilever does a planning, which is to be able to kind of set a rhythm and have a fixed schedule kind of a thing. There are only two factors when it comes to planning. One is when to replenish, what to replenish, right? So how, I mean, basically what I mean is how much to replenish. So it's either a schedule or a quantity. How large companies work is they work on a fixed schedule as there are thousands of stakeholders and the quantity keeps on varying. Whereas where a fast growing brand can kind of take a trump in it is knowing that our schedule can never be fixed. We can work on a fixed quantity kind of a model, right? Where your safety stock or a reorder point can be a floating number, which basically makes it predictable from a financial aspect or a working capital requirement aspect. That you will always require only that amount of working capital which you set as this thing, which also gives you the flexibility to be able to kind of order as soon as you start seeing the ROS or rate of sale increasing or decreasing as well. So this is something that we've kind of applied and created as a template, especially for fast growing brands. It seems to be working right now.
Got it. Very interesting. Let's talk a little bit about sustainability, right? I think one of the interesting opportunities for D2C brand is to align their values with the values of the customers, right? And I think to be told, I think we are all now fairly aware of both social issues and environmental issues and how they might impact us in the short term and definitely in the long term. And therefore, most brands are adapting to be able to, transmit that value through the brand itself. How are you seeing, and Rahul, this is a question for you, brands adapting environmental and social sustainability, things like packaging, I guess, use of EVs and deliveries, and I'm sure other things. Like, what are you seeing as emerging trends and where you see this going?
See, especially in the emerging trend where the sustainability and the environmental impact can really happen is especially moving away from ad hoc replenishment, right? For example, if you're I'll just pick one small example. If a brand receives an order, let's say from a Bangalore, it shouldn't be a case that the order is being replenished from, let's say, Delhi or Mumbai if the warehouse is present in Bangalore, right? The second thing is to also understand that running it with one bigger warehouse, it can be decentralized into smaller warehouse, but spread across countries, which can basically help you move goods in a bulk manner, helps you save not only carbon footprint, but also helps you make it more economically sustainable as well, right? Increases your serviceability where your delivery times can be cut down by half as well.
Got it. And Bhisham, what are you seeing and what are you doing? How are you thinking about sustainability as a theme?
See, sustainability as first, what Rahul said, I will like to comment on that. So Rahul made a very valid point that we should decentralize our warehouses so that deliveries are faster and all. But we have to see the cost also, because all this what Rahul said and I'm implementing, I know the impact of the cost. Because obviously we will save on logistics, that is one part of it, but warehousing is very expensive. Keeping multiple smaller warehouses are very expensive. It's not cheap, A. Secondly, in all those warehouses, you have to maintain inventory, which is again cost to the company, because you have to maintain inventory in couple of locations. So yes, it is like what Rahul said is a good thing, and it can be efficient if planned well, but there is a cost attached, and that cost can be mitigated only after a certain scale. If you have a certain scale regionally, if you have a certain scale across all your channels, then you can mitigate that cost. But otherwise, if it's not done properly, it is a high cost. It's not I'm not saving money for sure in that. And now you said from a sustainability point of view, see, unfortunately, I am in a business where I have to use plastics. I cannot shy away from that. And so we are doing a couple of things, yes, wherever possible. Like for example, from a packaging point of view, we've stopped security bags because they are one of the we used to consume a lot of them. We have stopped bubble rolls. We have come up with paper. We have a mesh paper so that we use that in that. And the second thing, what we are doing is that whatever plastic we are generating, we recycle it at the end of the year. So that suppose I am consuming that there's a method we have an agency in place. Suppose I am using hypothetically 4 tons of plastic. So how do we calculate? We have used say 1 lakh tubes in a year. So per tube, this much grammage is the plastic, and then we multiply, and then that's how we calculate, and we get it recycled. This is what we are doing as a brand from a sustainability point of view, and we are careful wherever possible. We try to uh, be as sustainable as possible, but we cannot avoid using plastics.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that is one of the things I think about a lot, which is, if you think about today, we all use e-commerce, we see so much waste in our houses and, wonder like, how can we solve this problem? And yet e-commerce is still not more than 5% of global consumer retail. And as we say, the future is only going to be more and more e-commerce, right? I mean, 5 will become 10, and then maybe 10 will become 20. And like imagine 4x more wastage. It sounds like, I think we all can do the small things, which will then become bigger things to make
I would
e-commerce
like
a
to
lot more
add,
sustainable.
it's not that as a brand I have to think sustainable. As a consumer also, we have to think sustainable because sustainability comes with a cost.
Mm-hmm.
And the consumer is not ready to pay that price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it has to come from you. If you're a consumer, if I ask you use this tube, this is paper-based tube, and you have to give me $20 extra, which is 20% extra. Nobody's going to give us.
Mm-hmm.
So as a brand owner, I cannot take that ownership. As a consumer, also consumers also have to take that ownership. Okay, if I'm charging extra, there's something in it.
Yeah.
So that is also a bigger question. It's not about us doing sustainability.
No, completely. And Bhisham, I think the way I sort of think about it, and that's where I think a lot of people who are building the infrastructure around supply chain probably have a lot of role to play, which is this cannot happen in a way where it is inefficient, right? I mean, that's sort of philanthropy, which basically doesn't scale. The only way sustainability will work is when sustainability is one part of the fabric, and then second is not more expensive, if anything, less expensive, right? And I think for that, there needs to be a lot of infrastructure, a lot of enablers who are doing this, so that when you are, or any brand who's packing in a, let's say, more sustainable way, it's not more expensive to them. If anything, it is cheaper, right? I think probably a lot of work to do there, but I think that's when it'll, get somewhere. One of the things that, I think a problem that any brand has, whether it's a D2C brand or a physical brand, is to have a very strong feedback loop between sales, operation, demand planning, and then, of course, supply chain, right? So that working capital, inventory, etc., are in this perfect sync, right? Where there is no money stuck in working capital too much, or just inventory not moving fast enough. And obviously big brands like P&G and large companies like Amazon are very good at that, because that's how they build orgs. What are the challenges that we are seeing in D2C brands? And Bhisham, maybe this is a question for you. How did you think about it in the early days of Man Company? And how are you better maybe, right, today? And what are you trying to do to kind of like make sure your demand planning and sort of like inventory sort of things, not only there is a continuous stream of data, teams know what's going on, so that this can be very efficient?
So when we started, see, as you started when we started, you said that all of us are focused on our core product. So my core product is making shampoos, perfumes, etc., etc. Supply chain is just an enabler. So it always takes a backseat, and as we grow, we learn the ropes and we make our systems, and that's how we are managing so far. But we make multiple systems, and those multiple systems at times don't talk to each other. So it is very, very difficult for us to make sure that the planning team, the data, all the data sits in one system and they talk to each other. Now, as we have grown, we are scaled up, and all these things we are not able to do it manually. Now comes the role of the technology, where we were using different technology platforms. We were trying to integrate with them. Few of them are integratable, few of them are not. So that's a big challenge. So now as a team, we have decided that we are moving towards one integrated system which will have everything. So that's all how traditional companies work. They have ERPs or various ERPs where everyone talks to that ERP. Everything sits there, and then the decisions are taken. So far for us, all the information is there. We are using a lot of technology, but it is scattered here and there. We are trying to integrate all of them together so that they can talk to each other. Then life will be very simple. But yes, all these problems come with scale. So till the time, believe me, till last year versus this year, because I've reached a certain scale, I'm now able to not manage what I was using, all the tools I was managing it. Now I'm not able to manage with that. So I'm integrating everything and moving to a next level of ERP systems. But technology is the answer to this.
Yeah. And I guess leveraging technology, as you said, to have a continuous view of like different teams who are doing from inventory, demand planning to whatever else, to actually buying, they are all in sync on and then the key probably is cadence. Rahul, what are your thoughts on this? And what are you seeing and anything your company is doing to solve this problem?
And one last thing, sorry, Rahul, I would like also we need a lot of controls with scale.
Yeah.
So supply chain warehousing is the biggest part. We need a lot of controls on the inventory. So that also comes with technology. Without technology, controlling with huge inventory, so many SKUs, it's very difficult. So controls is very important.
Yeah, I actually agree with Bhisham. I actually agree with Bhisham that one of the primary requirements is to kind of have a source of truth. That source of truth can be an ERP system, a WMS system. And by the way, this is interchangeably, especially in last 1.5 years of working very closely with many of these brands, right? It is interchangeably used between an ERP, a WMS, an OMS system, or even an Excel as well, right? Where exactly kind of goes for a toss is the way ERPs are implemented, right? Especially the masters. And when I say master, I mean the master data, right? The master data kind of creates a challenge in making it very rigid and tightly coupled operation. And be it tech systems, your POS, which is syncing in, your IPOS or your WMS, which is syncing in as well. And if you're generating sales lead from it, or if you're generating procurement plan and purchase orders from that as well, it kind of becomes a very tight net. Where the problem comes in managing S&OP cycle, right, is especially an orchestration system. Because the systems are growing and evolving very, very quickly, right? And system, I meant company system inside the company, right? People systems, right? There are overlapping responsibilities. The data goes inconsistent because you're not mapping or keeping SKUs or the SKU code rightly. Your promos are somewhere else. Your base SKUs are somewhere else, right? KRAs are not tracked correctly, and which is where a major challenge and where everything originates from is to be able to kind of run a tightly disciplined S&OP cycle, be it a 5-day, be it a 45-day, like a Unilever or L'Oreal does it, right? And that is where an orchestration system kind of goes missing. ERP becomes a source of truth where everything comes and merged, but then from there, the action points, which is the planning system, is where it kind of comes, basically making sure that everyone knows what to do and when to do.
Sounds good. Perfect. I have a lot of questions, but attendees, if you have any questions, feel free to put it out. I will make sure I call out, and we'll make sure the last 10 minutes are only audience questions. But in the meantime, you can prepare your questions or just ask. Let's get into logistic, like delivery experience and return experience, right? One of the things, Bhisham, that any D2C channel, like specifically, the classic D2C channel where you are selling on your own website to customers, one of the challenges is that the customer, who's your customer online, is also very much used to a certain degree of experience on the internet. And that is typically defined by very large players like Amazon or Flipkart, where, various things, but definitely delivery, right? The certainty of delivery, and then of course the speed of delivery, and then, and then after that, if there is a return, the speed and frictionlessness of that, right? And because the customer is used to it, they demand it from anywhere, and a slightly smaller D2C brand definitely has challenges meeting that, right? Over time, there is, I think, so much infrastructure has been built, so many great startups have come up who are solving this problem, and I think there is a very interesting trajectory here. Bhisham, how do you attack this problem of getting a customer who is buying from your website, trying to give them the best experience on delivery as well as returns?
See, for the delivery, we are dependent on third-party logistics. So as the logistics scene is developing in the country, we are also dependent on them. As a company, I cannot start up my own delivery, like courier thing or delivery. But yes, like for example, Delhi NCR, we are based out of Delhi NCR. We try to give a better experience to my Delhi NCR customers, because from here I can have my own fleet, I can have my own bikers, same day deliveries, those kind of things we have experimented, and it is a customer delight. But pan India level, we are dependent on a couple of players for the last mile delivery. Secondly, yes, Amazon, Flipkart, or we can say the other grocery players, they are giving a very quick turnaround, like 10 minutes to 30 minutes to 60 minutes. Amazon is giving same day, five hours or something. So we cannot match that. To be very frankly, we cannot match that. It's too expensive for us to match that kind of experience. Yes, customer is expecting, but we cannot match that. But yes, we are present on all those platforms. Suppose somebody wants a shampoo from the Man company and they need it right away, 2 hours or 4 hours. So I'm available on all those platforms from where they can buy. But as a D2C brand, the mancompany.com, it will be very difficult for me as of now to give out 2 hours or 4 hours promise. I cannot do that. It's logistically not possible, and it's very, very expensive. There's no point burning money in this customer delight. Yes, we promise customer that we'll deliver in 2 days, 1 day, whatever. That promise we fulfill, but we don't over promise of, and we are not trying that also. As a D2C brand, I'm sure nobody's trying that. That if somebody needs a faster delivery, they can order from any of the platforms. We are available everywhere, and whatever, like Grofers or wherever they want, they can order it. Secondly, you said about the return thing. So in our case, uh, we don't take as a FMCG product. I cannot take you. You can not open and then return. It's you don't receive the courier, then it's returnable. So that part is that problem is not there with me. But yes, a lot of brands who have this problem of RTOs, like customers don't accept the orders. So I would say that is not a customer problem, that's a brand problem, because they are showing their ads to irrelevant people and then they just click to buy COD and then they refuse. So that is a problem. We don't do that. Our return rates are very, very less, minuscule, controlled, way less than the industry, because we don't show up our ads to the all the audiences, very targeted audience. So that way our return rates are very like in single digits.
Yeah, cool. Rahul, you sit in this very interesting space of intersection of, focus. I don't think you do, I think it doesn't seem like you do anything to do delivery experience itself, but that impacts your overall analysis, and you look at the data. What is your reaction to something like this, which is, is it, I guess my question is, you fast forward 2-3 years or maybe a few years, is it possible that enough players, enough infrastructure, enough data will be there where even a D2C brand like Man Company can match an Amazon on sort of this delivery experience. And then I think 10 minutes and stuff is one thing, but something reasonable, right? I mean, maybe few
Same
hours.
day. No, it is very much possible, Nitya. And that is I mean, one of the most famous examples is especially the Asian Paints one, where the replenishment happens every 4 hours. The two things that really governs this, and especially where, for example, this can be made possible in enabling same-day delivery or let's say half-day delivery in, let's say in tier 1 cities, especially, let's say doing a milk run in a particular location, right? And keep that continuously doing that. And second, understanding how low inventory can you do. You don't have to necessarily hold, let's say 10 days, 15 days of inventory at a given warehouse. It can be a carry and forward agent, right? Where the inventory holding, average inventory holding can go down to, let's say 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, right? And then that can be replenished and rotated very, very quickly, right? The economics works because it might sound that now you're doing many runs, so your logistic cost might increase. But now that you're able to rotate your inventory faster, your margins are also increasing that at that scale. Your revenues are also increasing at that scale itself. So the question that you asked, is it possible? Yes, it is very much possible. It's just that you should not be thinking that I will do same-day delivery entire country today itself. No, that is not possible. But if you, for example, focus on a territory, which can be, let's say, a northern territory or let's say a northeast territory, right? You define a territory and you define a milk run route as well. And then you start replenishing them very, very frequently. So the moment you basically tie up your mother warehouse to your depots or CFAs, and from CFAs, if your sales, and I'm talking only from an offline aspect right now, and if you have your sales beat planned like that, then the inventory can be rotated very, very quickly. Same thing goes for, let's say, some leveraging FBA or FBF as well, right? There are 30-35 FBA locations available, right? Amazon has the SLA not on inventory holding, but they have an SLA of how quickly can you replenish it as soon as it goes beyond the threshold. So there can be a strategic setup of warehouse locations as well, which can basically enable you to do that.
Yeah. Makes sense. There is a very tactical question. So let me just get it out of the way from the audience. It's from anonymous audience. And Bhisham, this is for you. Which inventory management software are you using? Is there something you can tell people?
But how does it matter whatever we are using? How does it matter?
I guess one of the audience is curious, or any advice on D2C brands, or maybe Rahul, like, do you work with inventory management softwares where if somebody is wanting to build their own D2C brand, it's like, okay, out of these 10.
It is very specific to, see, you have to customize a lot of stuff which is internal to you. So it will not matter what software I'm using or Rahul is using or somebody else is using. It is how compatible that software is to your customization, and talking to your internal systems. It is not about A, B, or C.
I completely agree with you, Bhisham.
It is about what do you need. There's no right or wrong. Yeah. Whatever I'm using, it is customized to my need.
Yeah.
So that's the
I
answer.
Completely agree.
Is asking this question.
Understood. Yeah.
And
so
it also depends on the scale. At what scale I am using this vis-a-vis whatever scale that person is. It's two different things.
Yeah. Got it.
I'll just give you an anecdote from this thing. I'll just add to what Bhisham is saying, right? Be it smaller and medium-sized businesses or mid-market and enterprise as well. Even if, for example, you use something like SAP, right? Be it HANA, be it IBP, right? The implementation and how it is done creates a hell lot of a difference. Having seen this up and close, I know, for example, how different Unilever's SAP implementation is versus how L'Oreal's SAP implementation was, right? These are bare bones, and it's up to, for example, the company and their team how they want to leverage that and how their internal processes are designed and how they want to basically penetrate and their go-to-market strategies are. So, Bhisham, I'm actually agreeing with you that there is no one, let's say, Raman to everything that is there.
There is nothing. That's why, because giving the name of my WMS will not help that person at all.
Makes sense. Yeah. So it sounds like it's a very complicated thing. I guess when somebody's just starting off, it sounds like probably this person who asked this question is like starting off, right? So I guess the answer is
you don't need a WMS right now. If he's starting right now, he doesn't need a WMS.
All right. Perfect.
Excel will do it.
Yeah. We've done it, yeah. We have done it.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
didn't know what is WMS. मेरे को मालूम भी नहीं था कि WMS होता है क्या है.
Correct.
And we learned it.
Yeah. So let's take the next question. And I'm just taking some random questions. And Rahul and Bhisham, you obviously, I think, can see the questions also. So if you feel that there is an interesting, relevant question you want to take on, just jump on it. This question from Sushil Kumar. I think a lot of new D2C brands probably start with Amazon, right? So they start with selling on Amazon and then figure out how to build their own website. And so the question is, if we are working with Amazon delivery mechanism, then do we need to develop our own warehouses, is the question. Bhisham, any thoughts there?
So the thing is, if because I think his question is, if we are working with Amazon, like we are selling on Amazon, do we need to have our own warehouses for D2C website or our own warehouses for Amazon? So both the things, I'll answer both the questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So the second question, because at Amazon or Flipkart, wherever you are working with them, so the getting a space is a big challenge. Okay. At times you don't get a space there. So for that reason, you need to have your own or shared warehouses in regional location, so that somebody is ordering from Bangalore and your product is not available on Amazon's warehouse because of various reasons. And the reasons will always exist. Then immediately that order is passed on to your or shared warehouse in Southern India or Bangalore, so that fulfillment is faster. So this is the answer for the thing. If you are selling on Amazon and you are at a decent scale, then you should have your own regional warehouses. Obviously, you have to see the cost optimization part of it. But yes, if you keep it, your conversions will improve for sure. And when you have your own D2C channel, then after a certain scale, and again, I would emphasize on the cost part of it. If economics work out, then you should have your regional warehouses in both the cases.
If I may add to this, especially someone who is just getting started, right? Rather than thinking, I mean, of course, Pan India, Amazon gives you Pan India exposure, but when it comes to, for example, beating services, right? One thing that a company can really focus on is at least picking one city and one region around that, right? And making sure that that particular location is possible to do it same day or at least 2 days. It creates a lot of difference because your ranking on Amazon depends on how quickly can you deliver it. Of course, what is the volume as well. But it also improves a lot of customer experience if, for example, the orders can be delivered in the same day as well. And a go-to-market strategy, once, for example, identified a potential hero SKU, right, is to basically start looking at other locations to be able to kind of do same day and 2 day deliveries as well, where you end up opening your regional warehouses, as Bhisham mentioned.
Got it. Makes sense. All right. Again, as I said, if you guys see any question that you would want to answer, just please feel free to take it. Okay. I think this question from Dilip, and I think we touched base on it, but perhaps we can quickly. So what is the perspective of D2C brands on micro-fulfillment center in terms of logistic cost cutting and RTO? Bhisham, I think you, during the earlier part of the conversation, you said micro-fulfillment center actually does not reduce cost. It increases cost. I think that was your view. I'm guessing it does reduce RTO purely because it probably helps in delivery faster. Any thoughts there? What is the trade-off here? How to think about it?
See, it will. So what micro-fulfillment center concept is there? It will depend on the scale. At what scale of the business you are in. Otherwise, it will add to the cost for sure. Because see, so for example, let's take a hypothetical example of Delhi NCR. Okay, I have a fulfillment center in Gurgaon, and suppose you order it today, I may deliver it to you depending on what time of the day you have ordered from my Gurgaon warehouse in 6 hours, 8 hours, or 18 hours also. Because if you order at 5 p.m., you'll get it next day at 12 or whatever time. So this is one thing, and logistics cost will be around 35 rupees from Gurgaon to Delhi NCR anyway. Approximately, I'm 25 rupees, not 35. Okay, this is a cost part of it I'm talking. Very practical example I'm taking. Now I have a micro fulfillment center in South Delhi. Okay, I have to bear the cost of that. Again, sending a product from a South Delhi center to 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers will cost me approximately 25 rupees only. So I'm not saving any money in logistics. I'm incurring a cost on the having a warehouse in South Delhi. Okay. So now it's a trade-off that someone has to calculate a customer delight vis-a-vis the extra cost you are incurring. And there will be some companies where the scale is so high that they can afford that part of the expenditure. But what I see as D2C brand, uh, it's a gut feel. None of us can afford those micro warehouses, even shared micro warehouses. We
Interesting.
cannot afford economically. If yes, you have a point that I'll burn money and do it, that's a separate story. But it will not make a business sense for sure.
Got it.
And customer delight
So,
is not everything. Business is also, you need to take care of the economics.
Absolutely.
so if I
What's
may
your thoughts?
add, yeah, if I may add to it, right, Bhisham, you're right that having, for example, your mother warehouse in the same city and creating micro fulfillment in the same city doesn't make sense economically. That you're completely right. But for example, having a mother warehouse in Gurgaon and then creating micro fulfillment in, let's say, a Chandigarh and Agra, right, or let's say a Jaipur, which let's say a 6-hour drive from one mother warehouse basically enables same day delivery at these locations as well. So micro fulfillment only makes sense, one, with the volume, which I agree with you completely, as the first point that you mentioned. Second, it makes sense when you have, for example, a feeder warehouse, right, feeding into at least 6 of such location. The economics start making sense because you're now driving volume. These micro fulfillment centers not only act as a delivery point for your own, let's say, website orders or Amazon orders, but it also acts as a, let's say, a fulfillment point or distribution point for the quick commerce partners as well. So to be able to kind of do it, you need to have a right scale and the supply chain network set up like that.
I agree to it. That scale is very important for all these regional and micro. Regional, still I agree, you can make economics, but micro fulfillment centers, you definitely need a scale. Suppose Agra or Jaipur, what he's talking, that any brand should have that kind of business in and around that area.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Bhishma, to solve that problem, do you think, I'm sure it's happening already, which is, a third-party entity, like a third party kind of like creates let's call it a micro fulfillment center in like a smaller city, like some sort of a hub, where multiple brands actually sort of like share their products so that, there is more economy of scales.
It's expensive. It's not
Okay.
cheap. It's expensive.
Got it. All right.
Not cheap.
All right. Let's take probably our last question. Let's see. All right. This question from Jay. I think it's a very fairly basic question, and I think all e-commerce brands struggle with this. So question is, how do you counter duplicate returns that are fraud? As no logistic partners check the products, whether it's a third-party logistic or Amazon logistic. Bhisham, I'm sure these things happen all right. What are the things you've built over so many years of building Man Company to prevent abuse of your, let's call it, if you have very good return policies and you want to deliver this user experience to customer, what have you done to make it better from an abuse prevention point of view?
See, in our case, as I said, if you open, we don't take returns. So that way the question is not right for me. But what we do, like we have our own branded tapes where we know that customer has not opened the stuff and all those kind of things are there. So we are doing those kind of small things. And secondly, the other thing is targeting the right customer. That is more important. If you target the right customer, all these things will definitely not take place. Because as a brand, to increase sales, we just open up our ads to anybody and everybody. Your office boy is also seeing the same ad as what you are seeing, and then at a click of the button, he clicks, and then things start.
Yeah.
So
sounds like one advice is from Bhishma is like, if you have a policy where once it's open, then there is no return, clearly the abuse part is gone.
Yeah, but you have to see the industry. In my case, it's industry practice. but you buying a mobile phone or a t-shirt or something, then you can't do this.
Yeah, auntie. Yeah, Rahul, any thoughts you have there? Because yes, in a FMCG it's different, but let's say a fashion brand who's selling t-shirts. I mean, somebody has to open the t-shirt and touch it and at least wear it, and then they might have to return. Do you have any thoughts, any experience you have had, even if anecdotally?
Yeah. No, returns management is a big issue, especially in fashion sector, where, for example, there's a lot of return. For returns management, I mean, for fraud, this thing, I don't have any experience, I'll be honest. But returns management is not just, for example, for fashion, but for example, even in bottling industry, your typical beverages, your Coca-Colas and Pepsis of the world, and similar, for example, new age brands that are coming in. Your bottles, that's a compulsory part of your return, right? That a glass bottle or tin bottle needs to be returned back to the company as well, right? So while you are developing your forward inventory, forward supply chain, your backward supply chain also goes the same way, and it needs to kind of go through the same way of data entry as well. One thing that really kind of takes it away is not being able to manage the data right? At every node, for every SKU, or for every let's say unit that is flowing through that entire chain itself.
Yeah.
So technology and your own fleet can actually make sure that you get the right products. Amazon as well as Myntra does it very well.
Yeah.
They have cracked this very well.
Absolutely. Awesome. Bhisham and Rahul, thanks so much for taking time. This was awesome. We covered a lot of stuff. So thanks for taking the time, and look forward to doing this maybe some other time. Bushra, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rahul, Bhisham, Nitya. I think that was a great, lots of insights. Thank you for sharing your anecdotes and experience. I'm sure our participants found it very helpful. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thanks so much.
Thanks
so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.